Why some and certain narcissists need the trophy spouse. Narcissism can be a very complex personality disorder. We can also carry narcissistic traits. The two are very different. Generally speaking, there's grandiose narcissism. I can never say that word right. Grandiose, anyway, grandiose narcissism. And then there's vulnerable narcissism. Both of these are grounded at some level in very low self-worth and a low sense of self and low self-esteem. How they're expressed, however, differs. Let's go back to the trophy spouse and why some narcissists need the trophy spouse and what that means to them. It's all about validation through association. The grandiose narcissist, that word, the grandiose narcissist needs to feel validated, appreciated, seen through association. So he or she will associate not only with a partner, that trophy spouse, but also with high-profile people. Now, let me come back a little bit here because this is really important. From my perspective, I think we're on a spectrum with respect to this. When it becomes extreme, when it becomes unhealthy to the point that you cannot function without having the trophy spouse, without being validated and accepted and respected and having these human needs met in an extreme way where you're manipulating people, you're manipulating situations, or you're on the receiving end of that, then you're falling more into, yes, very high narcissistic traits and more or close towards NPD, which requires a formal diagnosis and again is so complicated. Some theorists and some specialists say that narcissistic personality disorder is more complex, more complicated to deal with and treat than borderline personality disorder. And so we're getting into very refined territory here, but let's continue this conversation of the trophy spouse and the validation through association, particularly in intimate relationship. Because if that narcissist or that individual with very high narcissistic traits is able to be seen in a way that places them in the spotlight, that places them as high value, they will do whatever they can through manipulation, through coercion, depending on where they reside in the narcissistic spectrum. They will do whatever is required in order to be seen in a particular way. They need to be loved and adored. Now again, I would say we're all on this spectrum, but some of us will have greater integrity in our actions and our thoughts, will be more transparent and clear in the way we communicate, in the way we share ourselves, and others will not be. And they will need to be seen in a particular way by those that they perceive matter to them. So if you're with an individual that sees you as high value and they're keeping you in your life because of your social status or your wealth or your aesthetic beauty, and they're continuously complimenting you on that. Now you may say, but isn't it healthy for a partner to compliment someone else on their solid healthy attributes, whether it's looks, whether it's success that you've attained, whatever it may be? Well, absolutely it is. But where is it coming from? Notice if there is only giving when there's a ton of taking. Notice the language. Notice that when you're with that narcissist or that individual with very high narcissistic tendencies, when you're with them, how are they treating you? How are they seeing themselves? How are they behaving with other people? What are the questions they are asking you? What dialogue are they getting into with you? Is it all about what you've achieved, what you've created? Is it leveraging your contacts, your social circles? This can be really, really complicated. Now, here's another thing with this. Are you the trophy or are you the one with the trophy? Because that can work both ways too. Because if we have a low self-esteem and we want to be seen or be in that spotlight or be adored by others and be obsessed over by others. We may place ourselves in that trophy position. The world of relationships and relational dynamics that includes self-worth, self-esteem, having our basic human needs met, emotional human needs, physical human needs, etc. If we grew up, if we developed in such a way where we evolved in scarcity, where we didn't receive love and affection from our primary caregivers, where we didn't feel we were safe in our environment, where we yearned for touch and human connection and intimacy and validation and approval in healthy ways, but that was constantly or consistently not met, that's going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue for us as adults because we are going to seek those things that we did not get and receive as a child. And it will leak out in our relationships. And if we grew up in a violent, aberrant, volatile, unpredictable environment, our skew towards manipulation in relationship to feel safe increases. There's so much we don't understand about the human mind, the way the brain works, the way personality is developed, character traits and development is created. But we can see the outcome of a maladaptive childhood, or we can witness the effect of not being loved, not being understood and respected, maybe being bullied, maybe feeling isolated as a child, how that shows up as an adult to protect the heart. There is so much armor that goes over the heart because of that. And sometimes it leaks out in this way, where you need the trophy spouse to prove your worth in the world, or you need to be the trophy spouse to prove your worth in the world, to prove your value, that you matter. Getting to the core of our pain and equilibrating that, dealing with that, feeling the unfelt feelings, having real support, sharing ourselves, being vulnerable and open, not hiding in shame, equilibrating that shame, diffusing that shame. That's where the beginning steps of healing this need to be validated through manipulation or through association or being seen in a particular way. This is where it begins. And it's not easy. It's not easy to come to that conclusion and say, wow, my self-esteem is really low, because then the ego has to deal with that. But if you can be brave enough, if you're on the cusp, I'm speaking to the people that are on the cusp of, yes, I have some self-awareness, but I'm still stuck in an old paradigm of hyper-protection. Because if you're too deep down that rabbit hole, like if you really have NPD, you won't even be listening to this. You wouldn't even be aware of this. But if you're protecting yourself from a place of fear and shame, and you can feel that and you can touch that, and you know that it exists, and you know that there's another life that exists for you, then this message may just be reaching the places within you that it needs to reach. And you can get to question, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I being who I'm being and treating others and myself in this way that's keeping me distant, keeping me in a self-absorbed place, that's keeping me in a place of, I will only give just a little when I receive so much. Why do I feel so unsafe? What do I need to unpack here, and who can support me? And if you're in this space, you're not alone. You're in this space. Maybe it's time to shift or see your world a little differently. Power and blessings. I'll see you soon.